Former U.S. President Donald Trump will today appear at a Manhattan court following his indictment. His legal team has requested the court not to allow the matter to be broadcast. Trump faces charges linked to payments made to an adult film star, Stormy Daniels, ahead of his presidential campaign in 2016. Now, this was to silence her over their alleged affair, but Trump has denied having such relations with Daniels. Security has been beefed up around the court as pro- and anti-Trump pickets are expected to take place.
Every criminal case begins with charges brought by the prosecutor. And in this case, the charges are in the form of an indictment that's been returned by a New York grand jury. So a majority of 23 people needed to vote and find that there was probable cause that the president committed one or more crimes. The former president committed one or more crimes. And we don't know yet, right now, before the indictment is revealed to the public, what those crimes were or what the factual predicates are.
Okay, so what does this all mean, especially for Trump's political prospects ahead of next year's elections? Former federal prosecutor Harry Sandick has also weighed in on the possibility of the gag order being issued against Trump.
I think what the judge will likely be concerned about is efforts to intimidate the judge or future jurors, efforts to mislead people about the nature of the process, personal attacks on other participants in the process, such as the district attorney or the judge or the grand jurors, if they are ever identified. I think that will be the focus of the judge's concern, not to prevent Trump from speaking in some way about the case.
Okay, Professor Anthoni Van Nieuwkerk is an international relations expert, and he joins us now to see what this means for Trump's political prospects in the future. Thank you very much, Prof, for your time. So some have characterized this as the hush money case, but really, what does it mean for Donald Trump when you take a look at the actual charges he's faced with? Do we even know?
Yeah, no, we don't. It's a bit early. Good afternoon. It's nice to be with you again. It's a bit of a spectacle, and I think the American mainstream media is really blowing this out of proportion, if I may say so. I was watching CNN last night, and they focused their cameras from a helicopter on the aeroplane in which Donald Trump was arriving from Florida to New York. And as the airplane, I mean, that's quite ridiculous. So they're investigating, or they're focusing on the smallest details associated with which is a straightforward case of him paying hush money to a what is the nice word? To a mature film
adult
star.
Entertainer, Prof.
And you see, I'm learning as well.
We all are.
And this has come, and this has come to light. And there's a court case, and indeed it is newsworthy because it's the first time in recorded history, apparently, that a former president must stand trial for this kind of nonsense. And of course, it doesn't look too good. But the real reason for the focus, the obsession here is Donald Trump is very keen to stand for the next election. He wants to become the president of the United States again. Now, this is really important, you know. Will this court case shut him up or prevent him from standing or damage his prospects or not? I doubt it. I think this is part of the American style of theatrics of politics. And in fact, you know, it might bring him even more supporters because his line of argument is that people are picking small details and they're trying to embarrass him and prevent him from standing. He's gaining support through this kind of, and tonight he will make a speech and we will hear. My view is that this is the beginning of his presidential campaign. And why is this important for us to take note? Well, imagine, you know, the world superpower gets Donald Trump as the next president. replacing Joe Biden, which is maybe not a bad thing because I think he's come to the end of his shelf life as well. But, Trumpism and the way that the Americans view the world through the lenses of Trump is going to impact on world affairs, and we can discuss that at length if you want.
Yeah, let's get into it. But the conspiracy theorist in me can almost guess what Trump is going to say tonight, right? But you also wonder whether this, as you call it, is just, it's been blown out of proportion. Could it be related also to what happened at the Capitol? I mean, there was no legal consequence there.
Yeah, you mean the January 6th sort of invasion. Yeah. So it looks to me as if all the law enforcement authorities and agencies and Secret Service and all the rest of it, it's like Men in Black 3 now, is standing by. There's a reference to that movie, is standing by to make sure that there's not chaos and mayhem like January 6th, and I think it won't happen like that. It'll be a very short and sharp judicial process. Unlike what's happening with the public protector in Parliament with us, this thing will be very quick. And it'll sort of go into legalese for a long time to come. But what we have to focus on is the politics of it all. And indeed, how does one speculate? Imagine Trump comes to power, replacing Biden and Kamala Harris. I don't know who Trump's running mate will be. But people are speculating quite wildly. He might not be interested in pursuing the war in Ukraine and pull America back from this enormous conflagration between NATO and Russia. If that happens, the Ukraine war will turn and a peace process might be possible. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, he was very quick to release America from its international obligations, such as the nuclear treaty, dealing with Iran and so on and so forth, and he's quite divisive and he's very aggressive with his so-called partners in Europe, and that might just muddy the waters in terms of global stability. And then thirdly, would Donald Trump as the president, if he overcomes all of these obstacles that we see now, if he becomes the president, how will the world economy do under his watch? Will he be able to bring stability and save us from a global recession? And this other thing that everybody talks about, which you should have on your next program, which is the so-called de-dollarization of global trade. This is the rise of BRICS challenging the status quo.
Yeah, in fact, China the other day.
I don't know whether Trump is going to be able to stabilize global affairs. I think he's going to disrupt it further.
We'll see what happens, Prof, because the other day China traded in Chinese yuan. But thank you very much for your time. Professor Anthoni Van Nieuwkerk, an international relations expert.